Alright, welcome back to the channel. So today is going to be a vlog style video. I'm going to show you guys my next mod, which is a replacement for my current brake setup. So currently I have spoon monoblocks on the front and stock calipers in the back. And you guys have seen me mention or heard me mention that I have a Stoptech kit ready to go. You've seen this in the back of my videos for quite a while now. So the time has come. I am going to refinish them. I got this kit used from my buddy Dennis. Shout out to him. Thank you, Dennis. So here's the rotors. You guys don't really want to see that. It's just slotted rotors. But what you really want to see is the caliper or calipers. So it's your standard ST40 kit. Nothing special, no trophy kit here. Trophy kit would have been nice. I did have a trophy kit on my S2000. What's nice about those is that, you know, it's a little bit lighter caliper. They have machining, special machining in the trophy calipers that they reduce weight on them. The regular ST40 calipers are flat faced. The trophy kit has the logo etched in. I really wanted this kit in particular, a regular ST40 kit, because I wanted to refinish them and put NSX across the calipers. So that's my plan. I'm going to drop them off to the buddy Robert Mexi-Ricer. Most of you guys know him. He's local to me, and he's gonna help me refinish them. Alright, and here are the calipers. They're actually in really good condition. There's only like one minor nick on one of these calipers. The e-brake calipers are in here, of course. So I do kind of feel a little bad about refinishing them, but I'm just not a fan of red calipers on bronze wheels. So I'm not going to reveal the finish color just yet. I'll reveal that when I actually get them back. But I've tested one out on how to disassemble it. So like I said, it's not a DIY video, but I can't help myself to a certain extent. So I'm going to show you guys the tools that I use. And then I'm just going to let you watch me do it. So you need an air compressor, which would help, especially if your pistons are not out a little bit. So air compressor with a rubber nozzle, so you can stick that onto the port to blow air and push out the pistons. 2 flathead screwdrivers, a pick, a ratchet, and we have here a T25, I think, and a 10 Allen, so T25 Torx for the guides that the brake pads sit on, and then you need like an 11mm flare nut wrench, and I have this is for the main big bolts that hold the two calipers together. So these are the only tools you need. Oh, and then these guys right here. I'll show you how I use this. I have done it on you see me do it on the OEM calipers with a block, but since these are 4 pistons on each side, it's a little bit more tricky. I'm going to show you how I do it with a couple of C-clamps. And these covers, I don't remember where I got it from. I'll try to find some and link in the comments, link it in the description, but these are really nice to protect your finish. Even though I am refinishing these, I don't want to like dent them or do any kind of harm to the aluminum of the calipers. So I am going to feed air through this with the rubber nozzle on my air gun, and you're going to see that it's going to push out the 2 pistons that have the least resistance. And then what I'm going to do is just hold those 2 pistons in partially with these C-clamps, and then use the air again to push out the other 2 pistons. Which I am going to use the wood a little bit, so maybe you do need a piece of wood. So let's do this. I'm going to hold this tight against the caliper. Okay, so you can see that these 2 pistons popped and this one kind of moved a little bit, but this one didn't move at all. So what I'm going to do now is kind of let this piston doesn't need to come out this much. I just want to be able to have it come out so I can get a grip on these areas where the dust seal sits with the flathead screwdrivers and be able to pull it out. Currently, as this piston sits right now, there's not enough sticking out that I can get a grip with my flatheads. So that's the idea. So you're going to see that in a second. So we're going to hold these pistons back, have my safety glasses on, and we're going to feed air. So you can see the other two pistons came out. Remove the C-clamps. And now I'm going to take these apart, because once I have these apart, I'm going to be able to lay them, butterfly them out, and then remove the pistons. You could probably remove some pistons right now, like this one. But some of them might be a little bit budget in. You're going to need to use flathead screwdrivers. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. Okay, we'll remove the pad rests with the T25 bit, Torx bit. These are Loctited on, so you're going to have to remember to re-Loctite these and Loctite these big bolts, of course, too. You can see that there's some remnants of Loctite there. I think probably Loctite. Maybe that's just black because it was bolted into the caliper, but I plan to use Loctite. I'm going to look up the proper torque specs and insulate and rebuild procedure. I haven't done that yet as of this time in the video. Okay, so if you cannot get them out, so these two cannot be budged right now, what I'm going to do is just grab two flatheads, pull up like that. So I put the flatheads in this channel right here because this is where the dust seal sits. You do not want to scrape up this area with a screwdriver, because this is where it's actually going to seal on the inside where the brake fluid, to keep the brake fluid from coming out. This right here is just for the dust seal. This gray thing right here is just a dust seal. So being that it's just a dust seal, the tolerances for this area is not so important, just because it's not preventing any liquid from leaking out. And now to get these guys out, if they don't come out by themselves, along this line right here, there's a rigid piece of the dust seal. So for me, I just found it easy enough to, and I do have new dust seals, because you will damage it this way to a little bit by poking at it with the pry tool and pulling it out. There might be a better way to do it, but this is the way I'm doing it. As you can see, works very nicely. And lastly, there is the actual seal in here. So you do want to be careful using your pry tool. You don't want to scratch up the area where the seal, the O-ring, sorry if I said seal before. So there is an O-ring in here. It's black, and the inside bore of this caliper is black, so it's very hard for you to see. You can see when I pull it out, you'll see. So there is a channel inside, and you want to be careful using your pick to pry it out, because you don't want to do too much scratching up of the inner bore of where that O-ring sits, because that's what's actually creating a seal also. So you see that? So that's how you disassemble it. Again, this is not a DIY, but you can use it as a DIY if you want. So now I'm going to clean it up with brake cleaner inside and out, and then send it off to the refinisher. So I'm going to go ahead and knock all these rest of these out, and then I'll catch up to you guys again when they're all clean. Alright, I forgot to film washing it, but that's probably boring for you guys anyway. So here are the calipers all disassembled and cleaned. So I degreased them and ran brake cleaner through them all. So they should be good to go. Just wanted to make sure that the surface is good enough for the coating. So I do need to clean up the bridge real quick, which is the back plate of what keeps the pads in, but that's about it. So I am going to drop them off to Robert, and we'll go from there. All right, and we got the brakes back from Robert, so they look pretty darn good, not gonna lie. They're obviously not 100% perfect, but that's to be expected from, you know, having used calipers that are already coated. You know, the process is to strip them down and then to plate them. So they're pretty darn close to perfect. You know, there's like tiny imperfections here and there, but that's not a big deal. You're gonna see that with a mirror finish, and I'm sure there's gonna be, you know, damage incurred just from actually using them with all the rocks and pebbles and stuff bouncing around inside the wheels. So I'm not too worried about that. Here is a look at the stickers. So you can kind of see here that I have 4 stickers. Big thanks to Diana at Oni Wraps. I had her print 4 sizes because I had these done while the brakes were not in my possession, while they were at the refinisher. So I didn't know what sizes to go with. So here's largest size, too big. The edges of the lettering goes all the way to the edges of this front face. So that's the first size. Second size. Not bad. It fits, but looks a little bit too large, font wise, right? So for me, I feel like this size right here is the perfect size. So I think these are all, I can't remember what the difference, I think these are all like half an inch different from each other. So there's only 4 sizes here. So here's the other last size, the smallest one. That's not bad too. It might be between the smallest one. Actually, sorry, that's the same one. So here's the smallest size. Yeah, that's not bad too. But I think this size right here, second to smallest, is gonna be the perfect size. So I'm gonna stick those stickers on after I'm done cleaning them up. So the last imperfection that they have is there's a little bit of like corrosion stuff going on inside the places that were not plated. So namely the bores, which is very important to clear out. So I'm gonna run through those with a little Dremel wheel and kind of clear all that out, and then I'm gonna hopefully be able to clear out all this other areas too, where all the threading is and stuff like that, and the ports where the brake fluid goes through. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Fair price from Robert, Mexi Ricer's Garage. All of you NSX guys probably know who he is. He sells wheels and refinishes wheels, and he does brake calipers too. Can't wait to throw these on the car, give the car a little bit more bling. It's looking really black, really, you know, I need something behind the wheels, and I need these brake calipers to be the same color. So I'm really looking forward to getting these on. So let's go ahead and get these cleaned up and get them assembled. All right, these are all cleaned up and ready to assemble. So they're looking pretty good now. There was just 2 calipers that had a ton of pitting and stuff in them, and that's as best I could clean them. This is how it's supposed to look versus that. But the bore is clean, and hopefully the area where the seal sits is good enough. So we'll see if it leaks, but hopefully not. But they look pretty good. And I've decided to go with the smallest sticker, so you'll see that once I install them. But I just need to assemble them. Again, I got the brand new seals and stuff here. I just need to clean these pistons up, hit them with a little bit of brake cleaner, and then assemble everything. All right, here we go. Time to rebuild these. So have the seals here and everything's cleaned. I used my ultrasonic cleaner, which is off to the side. You can't see it right here, but use my ultrasonic cleaner to clean up a little bit of this hardware. Got decently clean. So first things first, we're going to install the pad brackets, and I believe what was on them before was there's a little bit of red Loctite on them. So I'm going to go ahead and put red Loctite again. Okay, there is a torque spec for these. I'm not torquing it, I'm just gonna tighten it good and tight because it's got red Loctite on it. I'll put the torque spec for you guys on the screen. Okay, now it's time to put in the seals. And I forget if you're supposed to put in brake fluid on entirely around the seal, but I'm just gonna put it on the inside bore where the piston sits, or piston makes contact. So I'm going to put brake fluid after this. All right, next we're going to put the dust boots on the pistons. So those are good. So now we're just going to insert them. Press down the seal into the groove. Probably should have lubed these as well, but too late for that on the other ones. Those would have helped them go in. It's okay. They went in fine. Now that the two halves are put together, I just need to line these up and drop the bolts in. So I'm going to do blue Loctite for these. It didn't look like there was red Loctite. There's a dark area on the bottom half. So I'm just going to put blue Loctite because I don't want to put red and not ever have them come apart. All right, these guys are torqued to 43 foot-pounds. Okay, now you just need to make sure that you put the crossover tube on the correct side, depending on which side you want to put this on. This is a rear caliper. I keep defaulting to a DIY. I know this is not a DIY, but you can try to use it as a DIY if you want to. This is a rear caliper, so both pistons are the same size, so it doesn't matter which size up or down. For the front calipers, one piston is bigger. I believe the bigger piston goes on the trailing edge, trailing end. So the later end of rotation, forward rotation. So you're going to want to make sure that the bigger piston is always on the bottom of the two pistons. For these, you just need to make sure that you have one for the left side and one for the right side. Okay, now last is the bleeders. Stoptech kit comes with these covers, which are nice, so I'm going to install these right now. Okay, so here it is all done and installed, and now we just got to make sure that it doesn't leak. So I'm going to be pressure testing these off camera. Just with the air compressor, but and then I'm going to test it with brake fluid while it's on the car, of course. But that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them off camera because they're all the same, and I'm going to bore you doing the same thing 3 more times. So here it is. Next time we'll catch up with you as far as putting the NSX sticker on. All right, sticker time. So I got the smaller stickers, and these are the rears, and I do have extras just in case I mess up, but I'm just gonna go for it. All right, so let's take a look. Sorry for the weird angle. I had to do that because I need to put my head directly over it to set it down. Let's take a look. All right, it looks pretty darn good. Hard to see with all the reflections. There you go. So let's get the others done and let's get them installed. All right, here's a look at the 2 rear calipers. Again, I redid the first one because there's air bubbles in it and it was too low. I liked how I did the second one. It was more centered up and down. But yeah, it came out really nice. I'm going to probably not keep them as stickers because it's a pain in the butt. Every time you wipe it with like a yellow microfiber, little bits of fuzz get on the edges of the sticker. So I look into, getting them painted someday, the NSX logo on there, or we'll see something else maybe. But maybe an etch, laser etch on there if we can. I have no idea. Probably not, since I have to take it off to do that now that I'm thinking about it. And here's a look at the spoon calipers. One of the main reasons I want to switch to a big brake kit is because I did want something to fill up the brake, the wheels, the wheel, you know, the negative area of the wheels. My car is just for street and kind of show, even though I don't show it really. It's just, you know, for fun. So I wanted to fill up the wheels, especially the rears, because I have 18s, as most of you know, and I'm on the stock NA1 brakes, which are smaller than NA2 brake rotors. And there's gold and blue up front. So we're gonna have matching brakes. We're gonna have the Stoptech kit which has an e-brake, so that's definitely a plus. The only other kit is a Brembo kit. It has an e-brake, I believe. And so super excited to get these on and see the difference. I'm really excited about the color as well. I really went back and forth on what color to choose. You know, if I had a cool color car like orange, I'd get orange calipers and paint match them. You know, if I had a green car, I'd get green calipers. Obviously I have a black car and I don't want to paint the calipers black. There is something to be said about having a subtle car and subtle look. You know, I really appreciated the dark, you know, anodized finish or whatever you want to call it for like the AP Racing, the Pro 5000 kit that I had on my S2000, and like the dark gray finish that Stoptech offers on their trophy kit. You know, I had that on my S2000, and I had both of those kits on my S2000, and I appreciate subtle, but at the same time, I want something with a little bit more bling factor over there, and I think the nickel plated finish will do it. So really excited to see that on this car and add a little bit of oomph to this car, just like what the red did for the interior. Little something for the exterior on this car. So without further ado, let's get them installed. All right, phew. Looks like I didn't do anything, but behind the scenes, if I can in my videos, I always like to do one side first. That way, when I do it on video for you guys, it's clearer, it's better. I already know what to do. I already know what issues I'm going to run into. So whenever I can do a left or right side first or one side first or whatever, I do it. So not that this is a DIY. Again, this is not a DIY, but I'm just going to put you guys on a tripod and let you guys see the transformation. All right, I didn't have to remove the wheel bearing assembly to remove this. The instructions say to cut right here, but my OCD got to me, and you know what? I'm gonna sell my spoon calipers, and I'm gonna sell it with these heat shields because they're already cut for the spoon calipers. So, you know, whoever wants to install them, if they don't want to cut their own, of course they would have to remove the wheel bearing, but it's not that difficult. I want to give this to them, you know, rather than cutting it and throwing it in the trash. All right, time to install the brake kit bracket. All right, time to put the rotor on. This part you cannot mix up the rotors front to back because they are meant to fit over the hubs, and the hubs are different sizes. So you'll know if you got the right one if it slides over the lip of the hub. Now's the time to slide the caliper on. And then these jet nuts, you're going to put a nut washer over each one and the jet nut over to hold the caliper onto the bracket. These are 13 millimeter. They're only torqued to 30 foot-pounds. The manual in the book says, or the instruction manual says like 40 something, but they include a revision on these actual brackets that's 30 foot-pounds. Time to slide the pads in. Time to assemble the bridge. Give it a little hand tight and snug. Now to install the brake line, I'm not going to show you guys that because that part's boring, but that's pretty much it for the brake install on the front. Very easy. The rear is going to be a little bit more complicated because of the e-brake, but yeah, really happy with how they look now. So let me jump over to the rears. All right, the rears are kind of a pain to do, but we're going to go ahead and tackle it. I already did the right hand side just to get an idea. It's a pain because of the e-brake, but having that said, it's pretty straightforward. It's just kind of a pain sometimes. So let's get into it. Alright, next I have to loosen up the brake line because of the way the stock brake line banjo bolt sits. The banjo bolt sits downwards like this on the stock caliper, where on the Stoptech it sits this way directly onto the side. And so because of the brake line has in this orientation, I can't get it turn it 90 degrees unless I loosen this and kind of reorient the entire thing. So here we go. Alright, we're going to install the e-brake bracket and the main bracket, ST40 bracket. It says to do not tighten down the ST40 bracket until you tighten down, or do not tighten down the e-brake bracket until you tighten down the ST40 bracket. One thing to note is they do provide you these bolts for the e-brake bracket, or actually to mount the main bracket, and one of the bolts holes, it goes through the e-brake bracket and the main bracket, and this bolt head is, the flange was too big. It just did not fit inside there, as you can see, and so I had to use a belt sander and grind it down. And so that's kind of unfortunate. Someone who would have been able to do this DIY at home would not be able to get away with this without like a grinder or something like that. First, you have to insert this spacer. It goes in this hole where there's a hole inside this, which is what holds the e-brake. And then you have to pry this e-brake pin all the way down and then put the factory pin in it. The problem is these aren't exactly in line with each other, these two pieces. So I don't know exactly how that's going to affect the working of it either, because there's slight tension on it. The e-brake needs to move inboard more to be in line with this. So it ends up being really hard. The e-brake line doesn't slide right over this piece, and it's really hard to do with this spring. So you got to remove, I found it easier to remove the spring. So I grabbed my trusty hook tool, unhook it, set the spring aside for now, and then what I used is a large 17mm flare nut wrench to push down, and then this side looks like it's a little bit easier than the other side. Okay, yeah, this side lines up better, so no worries. I was struggling with this on the other side. Okay, that's way faster. Took me like half an hour to do the other side. Alright, so that's done. Now I just gotta put the spring back on. Alright, and then you have to, I'm going to adjust this e-brake line so it's hanging kind of low down here. If it'll focus. And so basically I'm just going to take out the bracket and slide the e-brake a little bit more inboard and take up some of that slack. Okay, the caliper's on. Sorry I didn't show you that last part, but it's just the two nuts holding on the caliper. And adjusting the e-brake is annoying because you have to put the e-brake cable onto that bracket, which was harder on the driver's side or passenger side than it was on this side. You saw it went on very easy on this side. You do have to crank this thing so that the pad makes contact with the rotor. You have to crank it before you connect that on. But yeah, it looks really good. Rotor is dirty because I'm dirty. But now it's time to bleed. So I'm not going to show you guys the bleeding. I'm going to show you guys once the car is on the ground. I do have to adjust the e-brake, which is annoying too. So probably won't be that difficult. Just gotta take out the console, I imagine, and turn the nut to adjust the e-brake, because there's basically no tension on the e-brake right now. So hopefully that works out. But bleed it, adjust the e-brake, put the wheels on, and then I will get you guys caught up at that point. Alright, this is a video about the Stoptech e-brake kit that I'm having trouble with adjusting. It's not putting pressure on the rotor, no matter how many times I crank this thing like the instructions say. So you can see here, crank it, watch this gap. Does not grow. So what I had to do with the other one is I unloosened this nut and I increased the gap between these two brackets right here. I put a screwdriver in here, and once there's pressure, outwards pressure on this piece, meaning it's pushing outwards, then it will start to go. So let me show you. So you can see that it does move ever so slightly. So now, if I keep doing that, you'll see it move up. See that? Now it'll move. Watch this gap. So I'm not sure. I just did that a few times on the other one. It remains to be seen if what can help it out. I'm not sure what's going to continue to be able to put pressure outwards on a regular basis. You can see it only works like one at a time. So I think on my other caliper that I did first off video, I just kept doing this a little bit back and forth. Maybe it just needs to be exercised. Maybe it's kind of stuck because it's brand new. So I'm just gonna keep doing this for like 10 times or so, and then wind it in and do it again and see if that works out. Push it out, watch this gap. Yep, see? Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna keep doing that and then see if it works. All right, I think I fixed the e-brake problem. This guy was being a real pain, spent hours trying to figure out why it wasn't grabbing. I adjusted the nut inside the cabin to the point where that nut was all the way like right here. So this thing shifted maybe like 1.5 inches. And because what the instructions tell you to do is crank this e-brake thing down and to bridge the gap before you start adjusting inside. And so what was happening was I was cranking on this thing, and the pads looked like it was up against the rotor, but not tight enough apparently, because what I needed to do was, if you look back here, hard to see, there's this bracket on the outside and this bracket on the inside. I had to put a screwdriver in here, pry like this in order to pry this bracket inboard. Once I pry that, put kind of like that kind of pressure, inboard pressure, and crank this down, then it would allow the piston to push out. Without doing that, just cranking this on this thing wasn't doing anything. It wasn't putting enough pressure, actual pressure on the rotor. So I did that, I exercised it. I don't know if it had to do with this kit being brand new or the e-brake being brand new, and I just need to exercise it, or if I just need to do this. I just did this on the car. I just, again, do this motion up against this bracket and then push it down. It was like, I had to do one motion, push down, one motion, push down, one motion, push down. And it ended up fixing it. So now it's holding a decent amount of pressure. I need to put the wheel on to be able to see just how much it's holding. And now the e-brake is adjusted basically to where it was at OEM. So I think we're good, because the inside is only basically used for like fine adjustment. So here you need to make the big adjustment as far as closing up the gap between the pads and the rotor. So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys run into that problem, but that's what you have to do. Alright, and we're finally done on day 2. Day 2, I did re-bled the 4 corners because I test drove it and it needed more bleeding. Of course, I expected that. What I didn't expect when I first installed the kit was for the parking brake to be such a pain. So really happy how the brakes came out. Now's a little bit of a time for a shout out. Big thanks to Dennis for the brakes. Dennis is our go-to parts guy in Southern California for all the NSX guys. These were his personal set of Stoptech calipers because he upgraded to the Stoptech Trophy nickel plated set. So I had these in mind for, these are the non-trophy, so there's no Stoptech logo etched in there, which is exactly what I wanted because I wanted to do this. So shout out to, I forget the screen name. There's he or she is a photographer. Anyhow, you guys probably know it. It's a blue NSX with blue calipers. So I hit them up, asked them what exactly they did, and so I took inspiration from them. I really liked that. So that's why I wanted the regular ST40 kit so I can do this with the NSX stickers. So having that said, thank you very much to Diana at Oni Wraps for getting me these stickers and getting me multiple sizes so I could try it out. And then last but not least, thank you very much to Robert Mexi-Ricer for refinishing them, getting them nickel plated. So really happy with the result. There are a few hiccups with the nickel plating quality wise, but all in all, it ended up working out in the end, so I would not hesitate to do business again with Robert. He's always been really cool, really stand-up guy, so you know what you're gonna get with when you deal with him. Alright, and here she is, looking mighty fine. I did lower the front end a little bit since the last time, even though I'm not sure it's gonna be in this video, but I lowered it previously with spacers and stuff. Before the brakes, I lowered it even more now because you know, I'm entering the car show. I just wanted to make it look a little bit better, and I did end up removing the spacers for the big brake kit too because the Stoptech brake kit does take up a little bit more space. It pushes the wheel out a little bit more. I will, if I didn't show you already, I'll insert some pictures right now of the stud length protruding past the rotor hat, and it was about like 4 to 5 millimeters difference where the Stoptech pushed the wheels out. So I had a 5 millimeter in the front anyway, so I just removed it completely and it looks pretty good. About where I wanted it. So, and then I did remove the rear spacer as well. I was running a 10 mil on the back. So yeah, the rear could come out a little bit. Probably I should have put the 5 mil spacer in the back, but I kind of like it without the spacers, so it was just experimental, as I mentioned before. But yeah, look at these brakes. That e-brake right there is the reason why I went with Stoptech or Brembo, or those two were the ones I wanted to go for. But I've always been really happy with Stoptech. They're always sized really nicely for the master cylinder, no issues with piston sizes and pushing, you know, longer pedal travel if you're pushing too much fluid that are with pistons oversized for your car and everything like that. So really excited to go drive it and just look at everything and look at how much the wheels are, especially the rears, how much the rear wheels are filled in now. I needed to get a further look, so I'll pull the car out and we'll get another look outside in the sunlight. But yeah, really super happy with this. And I'm gonna debut this at JCCS, so you probably won't see this video till after my JCCS video probably. But anyway, just to show you what went into, what I was up to leading up to the show. And of course, the red carpet. In case you haven't seen that video or in case I didn't post it yet. But yeah, really happy.